I still remember the day Jamal walked out of those prison gates. The sun was shining bright, but he didn't seem to notice. His eyes were fixed straight ahead, his jaw clenched tight. He looked like a man who'd been through hell and barely made it back. 8 years. 8 long years locked away for something he didn't do. The world had moved on without him, but Jamal... he was stuck, frozen in time, carrying a weight too heavy for any one person to bear. I hugged him, but he didn't hug me back, just stood stiff as a board. His eyes were cold, distant. He'd always been quiet, even before all of this, but now there was something different about him. Something hard. Something broken. The Jamal I knew before prison was full of life. He had this contagious laugh that could light up a room. He was the guy everyone wanted around, the life of the party, the friend you could always count on. But most of all, he was good. Good to his core. He loved his family, especially his mom. Miss Gloria was his world. He worked 2 jobs just to help her pay the bills, always talking about how he was going to buy her a house one day, get her out of the neighborhood. But all of that changed the day they arrested him. I remember getting the call, hearing his voice cracking on the other end, as he swore he didn't do it. He told me about how he went to the corner store, same as always, just to grab some snacks. But that night, everything went wrong. There was a robbery, a man got hurt, and before Jamal even knew what was happening, the cops were on him. They said he matched the description, a black man in a hoodie. That was enough for them. It didn't matter that he had no record, that he'd never been in trouble a day in his life. It didn't matter that he swore he was innocent, that he was just at the wrong place, at the wrong time. They had a witness, a man named Darren, who pointed his finger and said Jamal was the one who did it. I went to every court date, watched as they tore him apart, turned him into something he wasn't. They called him a thug, a criminal, a danger to society. The jury didn't even take a day to decide. 8 years. They took 8 years of his life just like that. Jamal was never the same after that. Prison does something to you. It breaks you down, makes you question everything. Who you are, who you can trust. He went in a kid, barely 20, and came out a man who'd seen too much, lost too much. But the thing that ate at him the most was Darren, the man who lied, who stood up there and swore under oath that Jamal was the one who did it. Jamal couldn't let it go. 8 years behind bars, all he had was time. Time to think. Time to hurt. Time to get angry. By the time he got out, that anger had grown into something fierce. He called it justice, but I knew better. It was revenge. Pure and simple. He wanted Darren to pay, to feel even a fraction of the pain he felt, and he wasn't about to wait around for karma to do its thing. He was ready to make it happen himself. I tried talking him out of it. Told him revenge wouldn't give him his life back. Wouldn't bring his mom back either. Miss Gloria passed away while Jamal was locked up. Heart attack. She never got to see her boy come home. Jamal didn't even get to go to the funeral. They wouldn't let him. He cried for days when he found out. I think a part of him died right then and there. But no matter what I said, Jamal wouldn't listen. He couldn't. Darren stole everything from him, his freedom, his family, his future. Jamal needed someone to blame, and Darren was the only face he could put to his pain. He became obsessed. Found out where Darren lived, where he worked, even where his kids went to school. He watched him for weeks, memorized his schedule, his habits. He knew exactly when Darren left the house, when he came home, when he was most vulnerable. I watched Jamal spiral, consumed by his need for revenge. It scared me, seeing him like that, so lost, so angry. One night he called me up and said, "Tonight's the night." I knew what he meant. I tried to talk him out of it, begged him not to throw his life away again. But Jamal was set on it, said it was the only way he'd find peace. I could hear the pain in his voice, the weight of 8 years pressing down on him. I knew he was serious. I couldn't let him go alone, so I went with him. Maybe I was hoping I could stop him, maybe I was just too scared to let him face it alone. Either way, I was there, standing beside him in the dark, watching as he held that gun, his hands shaking. We waited outside the bar, the same one Darren went to every Friday night. I saw the fire in Jamal's eyes, the way his whole body was tense, ready to explode. He was hurting so bad, and I knew that hurt was about to spill over into something dangerous. When Darren walked out, laughing without a care in the world, I saw Jamal's jaw clench, his fingers tightening around the gun. He started walking towards him, shoulders squared, ready to end it all. But then Darren's little boy came running out of the bar, calling, "Daddy!" He jumped into Darren's arms, laughing as his dad spun him around. I saw Jamal freeze, his face crumbling as he watched them. I knew what he was thinking, that he never got that with his mom, that he missed 8 years with his sister, that his future, his family, his dreams were all taken from him. His hand started shaking, his eyes filling with tears. The gun slipped from his grip, falling to the ground with a dull thud. He looked at me, his voice cracking as he said, "I can't do it, man. I can't." We walked away that night, both of us broken in our own ways. Jamal was hollow, like his anger was the only thing keeping him together, and now he didn't even have that. He didn't find peace, but he found a way to let go, just a little. Jamal's still figuring out how to live again, how to pick up the pieces of a life that was stolen from him. Some days he's better. Other days he's drowning in the pain, the grief, the anger. But he's trying. And for a man who had everything taken from him, that's more than enough. People talk about justice like it's something you can hold, something that makes everything right. But for Jamal, justice wasn't an option. He was left with nothing but pain, and the choice to either let it consume him or to try and rebuild from the ashes. He chose to live. And that's the bravest thing I've ever seen.